Well, hello everybody. Thought I'd do a quick video of my pair of Umbees spawning, or attempting getting ready to spawn. As you can see, doing a little lip locking at the beginning of this video. I was hoping I'd get this female out of her clay pot during this. She's got some really spectacular coloration. Of course, the male's no slouch either, as you can see, but the female's really special. The bright lemon yellow and the red, you can see the red in her gills and the top of her forehead a little bit. There's a lot of glare in this room, so I apologize for the glare. I'm doing my best to minimize the issues. This is the laundry room, and this particular aquarium's got all kinds of reflections and things, so I very seldom do videos out of this tank, but thought I'd do one just because this pair of Umbees is really becoming quite special, and I thought everybody would enjoy it. Plus, I thought these guys would serve as a good backdrop for some questions and answers. A lot of last 2-3 years since I've been doing these YouTube videos, I get a lot of comments and people ask me various questions, and I've been kind of lazy at responding. I'm not the greatest at typing and writing. I'm much better at talking than I am at writing. So hopefully I will address as many of the questions that have come up that I can recall at the moment. See the male pushing the rocks away. This pair is less than a year old. They are from the Rio Magdalena. They are wild-caught fish. They've spawned about a half a dozen times so far. I've got fry that are in the I'm raising about 20 of their past fry, and they're in the 3 to 4 inch range right now, so they'll be F1s, or they are F1s. Again, here comes the female, and this is kind of neat. I actually did this video earlier, and I didn't like it, so I deleted it, and I didn't get the female to come out of her clay pot in the first one, but this one's working out much better because she's a lot more active, which is kind of neat. Anyway, enough about the Umbees. We'll let them be the backdrop as well, one other thing I should say, the male right now is probably about 10 to 12 inches, probably 10 inches, I suppose. The female's probably around 8. And this pair will be going in my 1,000-gallon system around the 1st of April. I didn't want to put them in there until they were big enough to defend themselves with the much larger fish that are in the tank. Currently, I've got some jags, a chancho, some lion-sai, and they're all in the 14-inch range, maybe 16 for the chancho. So considerably bigger than these guys. I wanted to give the Umbees a little bit more chance to grow before I put them in the big tank. Anyway, enough about the Umbees. Again, you can watch them in the background here as I discuss hopefully the questions and things that people have asked me the last few years. One of the questions that always comes up is in my bigger tanks, I've got these big rocks they're hollow rocks that serve as caves. I've got holes cut out of them. People wonder where I've got them from. I actually purchased them from a local Seattle area manufacturer called Custom Creations, and they produce these rocks and other things for zoos and for higher-end homes that are looking for natural ponds in their backyard, and maybe even for swimming pools if they want a kind of a wild kind of a swimming pool, that kind of thing. So what this guy does is he takes molds. I believe they're plaster, but I'm not sure exactly what the molds are made of. But he finds rocks out in the wild, out in the woods, and then he takes molds of them and then pours concrete into the molds and then creates these artificial rocks that look virtually identical to the real thing. And what I have him do is cut out a couple holes in the rocks so that they serve as caves for the fish. The rocks probably up to maybe 3 feet in size, so they're really big, plenty big enough for big Umbees, dovies, and what have you to get in and out of. The cost of the rocks are $50 to $75 a piece. I think that was kind of the price range last time I purchased them, which was maybe a couple years ago. The biggest expense for somebody who was interested in buying these that wasn't local to the Seattle area would be the shipping costs. These rocks are very heavy. They're probably about, I'm guessing, about an inch to maybe, yeah, somewhere around an inch thick of cement. So, they probably weigh 50, 60, 70 pounds a piece. So the shipping probably cost you as much as the rock itself. But anyway, that's the rocks. As far as where I get my aquariums from, most of the standard ones I have, like this particular 135 gallon tank the Umbees are in at the moment, I just buy from pet stores locally, like most folks. These are all my tanks are acrylic. My bigger acrylic tanks I have had custom made, mostly from a local Bellevue area, Bellevue, Washington area company called Acrylic Concepts. My 600 gallon tanks were both created by them around 1990, 91, 92, somewhere in there. And at the time, there really was no place that I could find that had tanks of that size available. So I came to this local company and asked them to create them for me, and they were happy to do it. Acrylic Concepts at the time specialized in like doing display cases for Macy's and local department stores, and also display cases for like jewelry stores and that kind of thing. So having them do some aquariums was something that was a little unusual for them. But once they made mine, it turned out that they were pretty good at it, and since then they've been creating them. Ever since, as kind of a side market. It certainly isn't their main business, but they do a good job. And of course, these days with the price of acrylic, those things have gotten a lot more expensive. But anyway, that's the answer to that. Another question I'm always asked is, will I ship fish? And actually, no, I will not ship fish. I'm just a hobbyist. I'm not in this for profit. I do distribute but you can get my fish. Bottom line is, I have a good buddy of mine, a guy named Kevin Foxen, that is co-owner of A Place for Pets, which is a local fish store here in the Seattle area. They're actually located in Burien, Washington. And Kevin gets most of my fry. He's currently, I think, has some lion's eye and umbee fry and doveye fry, or not umbee fry, lion's eye, doveye, and what was the other one? Oh yeah, red devils. I think that's what he's got currently. But as these umbees begin to spawn more regularly, I will probably end up distributing those fry to Kevin. Also, he's had Islanum and a variety of other things. So again, I don't ship fish, but if you contact A Place for Pets in Burien, Washington, get a hold of Kevin Foxen, and he can ship you any fish that you care to get. And especially, if you just tell him you're looking for fish that came from my fish, he certainly can tell you what he has at the moment. So that kind of answers that question. What else? Let's see. How people ask me how long I've been doing this. I've been in the aquarium hobby since probably the early 70s, so around 40 years, give or take. Been keeping cichlids the whole time. Started out with convicts, like a lot of other folks have, and then it just expanded from there. I started keeping doveye back around 1975, I think. And they were extremely difficult to get back in those days, and getting my first doveye was a lot like, Christmas Day. And I've had doveyes ever since. The doveye that I have now is, I believe, 3 or 4 generations removed from my original pair. And I've continually spawned doveyes since the mid-70s, and distributed them all over the Northwest and the West Coast, and even some of the fish farmers down in Florida have gotten my doveye fry. They're scattered all over the place. Other questions that I can think of, people ask me temperature, pH, that kind of thing. I don't do anything special. The water in Seattle is great water. It's one of the advantages of keeping fish here, is we have pristine water in our tap. It is on the acidic side. It comes out of my tap around 6.5 pH. I do buffer it with some baking soda and a little bit of lime, as well as these cement rocks, and that helps push the pH up to around neutral to 7.2, in that range. And I keep all my fish in that same range, whether they're the Central or the South Americans. They all seem to do pretty well in that range. As you can see, this pair of Umbees is doing quite well in that pH. I think the trick with pH and temperature and all that thing is to be consistent. Don't let it fluctuate dramatically, especially with pH. Temperature, some people monkey with it, trying to get fish to spawn. Sometimes you lower the temperature in the winter and then boost it up in the summer or the springtime to increase the potential for spawning. And there certainly are species of fish where that is necessary. I haven't found that to be the case with any of the cichlids that I've kept, and so I primarily keep my temperature year-round around 78 degrees with the vast majority of my fish. There's a couple exceptions, but for the most part, everybody's around 78. I think it's a good happy midpoint between the fish that prefer a little warmer and the fish from, say, northern Mexico, Islandums, Gramotes, things like that, that would actually prefer a little cooler water. So that's that question. And I'm sure there's others. Expenses. People have asked me how much I spend on this hobby, and really, the startup cost can be pretty dramatic if you want to get crazy. Certainly the most expensive thing is the tanks and the filters, but since I have purchased most of those things many years ago, my current costs aren't that bad. It's just the cost of water and electricity for the water changes and running the pumps and what have you, and of course food. And, compared to other things, anything that's enjoyable is going to cost a few bucks. So if I wasn't spending my discretionary income on this, I'd probably be blowing it on one of my other hobbies like stereo equipment or home theater, that kind of thing, because those are also passions of mine. In any case, so I think that's about it for this one. I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, these are a new pair of Umbees I've had for about, I guess they're 8-9 months old, something like that. I think I got them when they were a couple inches long back in, I believe it was July. And they've done really well. And I guess that's about it for now. Take care.